Hi all! In this video we're going to look at how to write algebraic expressions that compare quantities. Mary works 14 hours per week more than Ellie. So you have two quantities, number of hours that Mary works and number of hours that Ellie works. Mary's hours are in terms of how much Ellie works. Since Mary's hours are dependent on Ellie's workload, I am going to assign a variable to Ellie's hours, and then whatever time Ellie spends working per week, which is X, plus 14 will give us Mary's hours. The length of a rectangle is 33 meters more than triple the width. If this was our small rectangle, and here's our width, length, there are no conditions on the width, but the length in terms of the width is triple the width, which is 3 times the width, and 33 meters more, so more is plus 33 meters. Now our algebraic expressions for width and length, since the length is dependent on what width is, the variable will be assigned to the width. Now length will be 3 times what the width is, which is x, plus 33. The attendance on Monday was 17 people more than on Tuesday. The attendance on Wednesday was 46 people fewer than on Tuesday. So we have 3 days: Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The attendance on Monday is in terms of what attendance was on Tuesday. The attendance on Wednesday is also represented in terms of what the attendance was on Tuesday. So whatever the quantity that other items are in terms of should always get the variable. Now that we have a variable to represent Tuesday, we can figure out what attendance on Monday was. And attendance on Monday was 17 people more, so plus 17, than whatever was on Tuesday, and we call that an X. Attendance on Wednesday was 46 people fewer, so minus 46, than what was on Tuesday. So X minus 46 will give us that number. Here's an example of problems that are set up as where you are given a sum of two quantities. In the first problem, there are 28 stamps of 32-cent and 20-cent value. 32-cent stamp and 20-cent stamps. And all together, there are 28 of them. In this type of problem, it doesn't really matter which quantity you assign the variable to. What matters is the relationship between the quantities. Let's say I have one 32-cent stamp. Then I will have 28 minus 1, 27 of 20-cent stamps. If I have two of these stamps, then for the second set of stamps, I will have 28 minus 2, which would give us 26, because the sum of the quantities should always end up being 28. If I have 12 of these stamps, then I will have 28 minus 12 of 20-cent stamps. What if I have X of these stamps? I don't know how many 32-cent stamps I have. Then for 20-cent stamps, I will have 28 minus X. Same goes for 20-cent stamps. If I have X of 20-cent stamps, then I will have 28 minus X to represent 32-cent stamps. A similar situation is in example 2. A play sold adult and student tickets. Altogether, there were 256 tickets sold. So if they are selling adult and student, and the sum of tickets is 256. If only 2 adults show up, then we would have 256 minus 2, which would be 254 student. If we have 12 adults, then it would be 256 minus 12, and that would give us 244. If we know that 125 adults show up, then 256 minus 125 would give us the number of students that will show up, because the number of adults plus the number of students is always constant. If I don't know how many adults do show up to the play, I can call it an X. Then the number of students will be 256, total amount of tickets sold, minus number of adults that show up. The first angle of a triangle is double the third angle. The second angle of a triangle is 32 degrees less than the third angle. So triangle has 3 angles. First one, second one, and the third one. Now, the first angle of a triangle is in terms of a third angle. Second angle of a triangle is also in terms of a third angle. Since the other 2 angles are in terms of the third angle, this is where I'm going to assign the variable. Third angle will be the x. The first angle of a triangle is double the third angle, so double is times 2 of x. Second angle of a triangle is 32 degrees less than the third angle, so we take the third angle and we minus 32 degrees. Now this type of problem we can actually solve, because I know that first angle plus the second angle plus the third angle, the sum of angles in a triangle is always 180. First angle is 2x plus second angle is x minus 32 plus third angle, which we called an x, equals to 180. We have like terms. 2 plus 1 plus 1, we have 4x minus 32 equals to 180. Additive inverse would be plus 32 plus 32. 4x equals to 212. Multiplicative inverse would be out of 4, out of 4. So x will be equal to 53. So x is 53. That's a third angle. Then 53 minus 32, which would give 21 degrees for the second angle. 53 times 2 would give 106 for the first angle. That's all.